Got so sick of just being as the younger people say in the comment section, a yapper. Like I felt like I was just yapping. I'm making these videos. I'm telling the truth. I got a congressional investigation. I went to Washington. I met with everyone possible that I could do as just a citizen. And I was like, okay, well, game on now. I'm going to go into your headquarters and just take your job and then remove all these toxic entities that are destroying our way of life in Los Angeles.
So let's start from the fire. So the narrative was, God, there was a lot of terrible, stupid, fake narratives, and one of them was climate change. That was the craziest one, that climate change is causing the fire. Look, I lived in LA for 29, 30 years, whatever it was, and I guess it was, somewhere around there, maybe even more, whatever it was. When I lived in LA, fire season happened every year. This is not climate change. This is not some new thing over the last couple of decades. I was evacuated 3 different times. I used to live in Bell Canyon, and my neighbors, 3 of the homes right across the street from my house burnt to the ground in 2018. There's always been fires in Los Angeles, but the lack of preparation for the Palisades fires was astonishing. The fact that the reservoir was empty was criminal mismanagement. I mean, it was just insanity that everybody knew that we had fires, like massive fires, that it was a dry place, and when the Santa Ana winds would blow, if something caught fire, it was a real problem. We had known that forever. And when you see all these people that are passing the buck and moving the blame, and then the fund, when they had that big charity thing for the fire, and you found out that hundreds of millions of dollars was raised, if you're looking at it like a rational person would say, oh, this is great. All these people who lost their homes will have some funds from this, and they'll be able to rebuild. And then you find out that the money was given to, what was it, like 108 different NGOs?
200 plus.
200 plus, where that money got distributed to these organizations, these supposed nonprofit organizations, and most of that money goes to overhead. And almost nothing goes to the people who lost their homes.
So to rewind, let's start with what we thought.
Right.
We were told climate change. And with the climate change, because I've spent hours and hours arguing with people that will argue with that, I go, okay, great. The climate changes, right? So we're aware of this dry weather. It hasn't rained. So what should we actually be doing? Should we just say, oh, everybody should burn alive and houses burn down? Or should we clear the dead brush? Should we pre-deploy? Should we make sure that both reservoirs have water in it? So the idea that climate change is the get out of jail, burn everything down excuse, it doesn't even add up. So we know that. So let's make a difference. And I went and met with the chief of the U.S. Forest Service and talked to him for a few hours. This guy, Chief Garcia, is one of the most famous fire chiefs from the hot shots. And I quizzed him, and he told me this was not a surprise. He said they all have a map. I forget the name of this map, that it goes to all cities and emergency personnel. They have photos. You look at them. He showed them to me. Everything is bright red leading up to January 7th. Bright red. They knew this was coming, to the point where Chief Garcia had all of his firefighters on the tarmac, kitted up in their helicopters. He said his whole team was standing by their computers because it was so obvious this fire was coming, based off of, if you want to say, climate change, because it had not rained. It was record dry. So this idea that they use that, it's just an excuse. And then the big one that everyone falls for to this day, that is the best propaganda ever, is hurricane winds. We were told, Newsom's doing the thing and he's saying the winds would come in, the hurricane, he lit his hair on fire. There was no hurricane winds in the Pacific Palisades. The max wind speed was 40 miles per hour. And for the first 6 hours, when the helicopters, the initial attack, when you put out the fire, it was max, I think, 27 miles per hour. So they got everyone with, it's unprecedented, it's hurricane winds, it's climate change. no responsibilities. So
Right.
now we go to fire aid. This was another thing that just woke me up to, we always heard about the homeless NGO scam and the homeless industrial complex, but living as a fire victim and watching all these celebrities go on stage. They actually took fire victims from Altadena on stage whose houses burned down, and they raised this $100 million. And as a victim, I'm thinking, okay, we're going to get a few $1,000s. That's nice. Or, you break 100 million up, there should be a grand. Even FEMA and these places, when you get that $1,000 check, it's helpful. You're like, oh, I just lost everything. Every little thousand adds up. So when that happened, and nobody I know anywhere got money, and Sue Pascoe from Circling the News, a local journalist whose house burned down, she spent months investigating, calling up every single NGO. Who did you give money to? Which victim? Nobody got money. And even the law firm that they hired to do the cover up for the fire aid, the law firm says in their own little 3-page document where they're defending fire aid, they say several of the money went directly to fire victims. Well, I Googled just to see, because I know the definition of several. I want to see, what does Google say several is? It was definitely under 10. So out of 200 plus NGOs, their own lawyers are saying several gave to fire victims. And then you look at the 3 that they name, like, we gave gift cards to victims. Which victims? Which you were just handing out if you were. But it was that woke me up to. If
they just stole the money.
Yeah. And if they'll do that to the people whose houses just burned down, of course they're going to do it to our tax money with the homeless industrial zombie complex. So that was a real wake up that put me into, oh, here's where the $25-30 billion goes. It doesn't go to solving anything or fixing it. It goes to scams.
Well, I don't think before Doge and before Elon started investigating into a lot of these NGOs, I don't think anybody was really aware, or most people were not aware of how this all works and how there's a whole bureaucracy, like a business that's set up where a bunch of people get paid from this money to essentially make no improvements whatsoever in whatever the problem is, whether it's homelessness. The homelessness is one of the biggest ones in LA because there was $24+ billion spent on homelessness. And when representatives have tried to do an audit to find out where this money went, Newsom has blocked it. He has vetoed this audit.
So it's even worse in the sense that it's not going to just their salaries. There's actual cases now with the DOJ and the feds. They're arresting people who are just stealing 30 million, 20 million, buying Bentleys, mansions in Brentwood. So the idea that it's just going to salaries and people are paying themselves out, that's one. But there's also people just straight up stealing money, and you can't even figure out how they steal it. For instance, this lovely lady came on my podcast, and she created her own charity type thing, the Integrity Project, to expose NGOs because she lives in Westwood. And all of a sudden, one day on her block in this, she invested with her husband, have a nice single family house on this nice street in Westwood. And the old person home, they were kicking all the senior citizens out. And she's like, what's going on here? And then next thing you know, the building's on the market for sale, and it's for $11 million. 6 days later, that building sells to a developer for $27 million. Ends up this NGO, Weingart, who's one of the top, I think they're at maybe $100 million just this year. They haven't turned in their audit to the feds. It's late right now. But for instance, no one knows why it went from 11 million to 27 million over the weekend in 3 days. So people pocket that money. Here's the craziest part. Guess who? So the grant, Weingart gets a grant from the city or the state. Guess who owns that building? Not the city or the state, Weingart. So our tax money buys for $20 extra million of property to have it as a homeless housing. Each of these beds, because I think there's maybe only 70 beds in it, it's now 6 years later approximately, totally not finished, not done, more, construction, this or that. They still get paid as operators. So these NGOs not only get the money for the grants to buy the building, then they get like $1 million a year to be operators. And here's the best part. there's no mandatory that they have to actually put a body in the beds. So, so the scam is, like I keep saying, this is a cartel. This is mafia. This is real mafia criminal stuff going on. And the problem is, so one thing I'm so excited to do when I'm mayor, and people in the comment section will be like, oh, he's so stupid, you can't do that. I've met with the IRS criminal investigation team 3 times in LA, twice in Washington, D.C., and they are so excited for me to be mayor because all they need is one document from each of these NGOs and these grants, and they can open these investigations on fraud. Right now, they know the fraud and the crimes are happening, but if the city doesn't hand over the document and the NGO doesn't, they say they can't just open up these cases without that one document. So first week as mayor, I'm bringing in the criminal investigation team of the IRS. Here's all the NGOs we're working with. I guarantee you 95% of them already just call and they're like, oh, Mayor Pratt, we're good. We're actually going to Seattle. We don't want to work here. Once they know someone's coming to stop the cookie jar stealing. And then when people are like, oh, LA has no money, how are you going to do all this stuff? LA has plenty of money that we're just letting our tax money just be stolen and to increase a problem. Homeless, since our current mayor, Karen Bass, has joined the city power, she's increased homeless. They reference numbers that she'll be like, oh, we removed 1,500 people this year. But she doesn't say, oh, 1,500 were removed into the cemetery because they OD'd. Not to mention how much tax money we're spending on just keeping zombies alive. I met with firefighters a few days ago at the Hollywood station, and they were telling me the amount of Narcan they go through. So in one night I talked to MacArthur Park, their fire station. He did 17 overdoses in one night.
Jeez.
So if they're not there, given the Narcan, the amount of people dying is even more insane. Right now, 6 people are dying a day in the street. And then they say, oh, this is compassionate. These people have rights. No, these people do not have rights to just die. We need to protect these people as humans. And again, that's why my whole thing is enforce the law. It is illegal to just be doing fentanyl on the street. So if we come in and we give you mandatory treatment, not jail, if you're not, some of these people are just straight going to jail for animal abuse. They're torturing animals all day long on Skid Row. The videos that I get sent, once you see them, you can't unsee them. Not to mention now I'm working with all the rescue ones, the ones they text me and they're just like, Spencer, we have to stop this. And the city knows. They call the cops all day long. The cops come and they say, LAPD's hands are tied. If the mayor and the city attorney, they don't have enforce the law, they just get away with it. So we're in Mad Max life in Los Angeles, and people like to say, oh, I'm from LA. I've grown up, and I keep saying, I'm fighting to get LA back to what I grew up. It was beautiful. It's why I wanted to be on a TV show and be famous and be part of Hollywood. It was magical. Not even mention Hollywood is now gone. The fact that Hollywood Boulevard should be the greatest tourist attraction in the world. You couldn't pay me right now to go on Hollywood Boulevard, step on human feces, the smell of pee, inhaling everyone can just smoke fentanyl on the streets now. It's psycho. So again, once you start digging in and you spend all your life now exposing this, because again, they burn my house down. They burn my mom's house down. They put me in the game. And once the bubble's gone, all I have is this energy to stop this. Not to mention now the amount of thousands of messages I get every day from every part of the city sending me photos. There's parents that when they drive to school all across the city, this is not just one unique area, they have to have their kids in the backseat staring at an iPad, not to look out the window because meth addicts will just be having sex on the side of the street. There's just naked people everywhere now. And when I say people, naked zombies. And the DEA will tell you 90% of these homeless people have a drug problem. We have a drug addict problem. These aren't people that just missed a paycheck and we need to get them help and get back. This is a drug problem that needs mandatory treatment, not handing people needles and pipes and saying, oh, here's $1 million bed. If you're a fentanyl zombie hanging upside down, you don't care about $1 million empty bed because you're just high, you sober up and you go get high again. But what were we talking about? You got me pumped up. Got me
Well,
pumped
it's
up.
good. It's good to be pumped up. I mean, there's no other explanation other than extensive fraud. There's no way they could be getting that much money from our taxes and have this big of a problem with crime and with homelessness. And it's almost like they want everybody to feel helpless. They want you to feel like there's nothing you do so that it justifies throwing more money at the problem. Pull that article up again. So here it is. This is an LAist homelessness deal now under federal investigation. So even in LA's famously overheated real estate market, the profit and quick turnaround on senior housing complex and what's that word? Cheviot? How do you say that word?
Cheviot Hills.
Cheviot Hills. Do you know where that is?
Uh-huh.
Neighborhood seems extraordinary. Man at the center of the deal, since identified by federal prosecutors as Brentwood landlord and developer Stephen Taylor, bought the property on Shelby Drive in 2023 for $11.2 million. Purchase record shows. Okay, so this is exactly what you're talking about. $27.3 million to pay for that acquisition came from taxpayer grant funds authorized by city and state officials, according to grant documentations. LA Mayor Karen Bass and Governor Newsom touted the purchase as a key tool in the fight against homelessness, that they're losing. The deal called for Taylor's involvement to be kept secret, according to a confidentiality clause included in the purchase contract obtained through a public records request. That changed last month when federal authorities announced criminal charges against Taylor. He's accused of submitting fraudulent documents to borrow money from private lenders when he bought this and other properties. So, news conference, region's top federal prosecutor, Bill Asalee, said the investigation is ongoing. Taylor was arrested in August when the case was under seal and pleaded not guilty, court records show. It's the first of the two known criminal cases brought so far by the federal task force Asalee assembled in April to investigate fraud and corruption around the use of billions of dollars earmarked to combat homelessness in Southern California. So these people are just buccaneers. They're just buccaneers. This is just a gigantic criminal enterprise that exists under this guise of, being kind.
So that case only exists because of that mom, Samantha, did 7,500 of her own public records requests on that senior citizen home. And then the FBI came, she started posting it, and the FBI knocked on her door and said, can we meet with you? And she gave them all of her files. So it's back to what I was saying. The feds wouldn't even got that story if this woman, Samantha, from the Integrity Project didn't do 7,000 public records requests and build this case on her own because she was, what's going on in my next door neighbor?
This episode is brought to you by Ketone IQ. The demands on my time, energy, and focus are immense. So when I need my brain to lock in for hours and hours and fire at its fastest, most alert state, I'm taking Ketone IQ. It's an energy shot powered by this little miracle molecule that your body already naturally makes, and your brain especially loves, ketones. I've been talking about ketones for over a decade, and this company's finally figured out how to put them in a bottle. When I take Ketone IQ, I drop right into a state of laser-like focus and sustained mental clarity, whether I'm podcasting, training in the gym, or just want to show up locked in when it matters. The difference is night and day with Ketone IQ. Visit ketone.com/Rogan for 30% off your subscription order. Or find Ketone IQ at Target stores nationwide in the protein and electrolyte aisle and get your first shot free. Plus, they have a 60-day money-back guarantee. That's how confident they are that you're going to love the increased focus you get from Ketone IQ. Well, this has got to be just one piece of the puzzle.
That's $30 million of $25+ billion.
This is an extensive, coordinated effort to siphon money.
100%. And again, there's plenty of money to stop homelessness. Karen Bass will tell you, let's use her low number, made up number. They go around and they count. They drive. This is a real thing. They drive around and they do the homeless count. You can volunteer and you just count. Like, 1, 2. So
that's how they do it?
Yes. They just had a count recently. So the count supposedly is, let's say 45,000. The Rand Corporation will say that count is 30% low. I'll say that counts 100% low. But even so, let's say there's 100,000 homeless people in Los Angeles. $20 billion. Okay, that's California. Let's bring it down to in the last year or two, a couple $1 billion. We can't get people off the street with that much money. Just today, this DSA city council member was doing a video. She's bragging about, oh, I just secured $16 million grant. I love when they use the grant. I just got $16 million more of our tax money. And she is putting in little tiny homes next to somebody, like just next to a normal street where, again, this shouldn't be where that is. And it's housing approximately, they say, 60 people or whatever. It was $250,000 per person that they're bragging about. $250,000 a person can get anybody sober a nice little condo or apartment for a year, potentially whatever job tools you need. So this idea that it takes $250,000 to put a tiny, it's everyone's getting a cut. It's like, again, it's like the mafia.
So there's a bunch of things going on. There's a bunch of employees that are getting paid. So, and getting paid substantial amounts of money. You know, my friend Colion Noir found this out about San Francisco. So he went up to San Francisco. He saw all this homelessness, and he's a lawyer, but he's also, he doesn't know what's going on over there. He's like, wow, what's going on? Do they need more money? He's like, no. What's going on is they're actually incentivized to have more homeless people, because the more homeless people, the bigger the bureaucracy grows. The bigger you can have your homeless foundation, your homeless task force, whatever it is. And these people are making $250,000 a year plus, which is insane. And he showed the list of the salaries of all these people. Like, how are you getting paid when the problem keeps getting worse? And all you're doing is hiring more people, and they're getting paid more money and more projects and more grants and more homelessness. And it's not getting any better, but the money keeps coming in. So you're incentivized to keep the problem.
And increase it.
Yes.
More money. It's a business.
Right.
And, you know, people always talk, I grew up and I was well aware of the military industrial complex. But even with that, they track the bombs and the fighter jets. It's even crazier because there's no, I think we serve. They use the word serve and cared for. They don't track results. They say, oh, we house 1,400 people. For a night, two nights, you know, it's not like we're getting people have bracelets and we're tracking them and they're getting air tags. We have no idea what's going on. So again, I keep saying, as mayor, I'll enforce the laws, because you cannot be a crazed drug addict zombie just running amok naked on the street. That is why, thank God, our amazing Democrats in California made this year SB 43. And that means if you can't manage your own mental state, you can come in and have the psych hold for 72 hours. And if it seems like, oh, this person needs real treatment, it can go to 45 days. And then it can go up to a year conservatorship. And as mayor, what I keep telling people is, once you start enforcing the law, first off, people who just want to do drugs and live on the streets, they will leave LA because they'll see, oh, this mayor's not playing around. We need to go somewhere else. Or they're so crazy and we're going to help them get medical treatment. Or they're one of these dog abusing type people, and I'm going to put them under the jail to the point where once they get from under the jail somehow, if they ever get out, they will never come back to LA, because now they've been under the jail and they're going to go under 2 times more till they end up in prison. Because if you abuse animals, once you see what I've seen, we're talking they're stapling dogs, eyes closed, light. I mean,
I can't even.
It's insane. The shelters alone, where it's the city is doing mass murder because they're not giving these people enough funding. And I'm convinced now they must make money off of euthanizing. So there's the street issue with the zombies abusing dogs, and then the city just mass murdering dogs because they're not getting the proper funding and facilities, and they're not spaying and neutering and enforcing all the laws to keep, you know, street breeders from just flooding the streets with the dogs. So back to, you enforce the law, and this isn't impossible. I've met with a lot of people that have real estate in Los Angeles and they have real estate in San Francisco. And Mayor Lurie came in and he started enforcing the law and just saying, you can't do this. And he has cleaned up the city pretty well there's obviously people that say he's not doing enough. And again,
I'm sorry, what city is this?
San Francisco.
In San Francisco.
And so he took the call from the feds and he said, I'm going to do this. And he's doing a solid job. Again, I'm going whole next level because I'm not concerned about optics. I'm not concerned about, oh, Spencer's doing this. He's so mean. No, what's mean is letting people live on the street in human poop and dying on the street. And these people I run against, they're all the same. They go, oh, we need more housing. We need more affordable housing. We need more beds. This isn't working. They just keep doubling down.
Well, that's a false narrative. Yeah. Everybody knows it's not a housing problem. It's not. That's not what it is. It's a drug abuse and mental health problem. That's all it is. It's not a housing problem. That's a flat-out lie, and anybody who says that should be shamed. When they say we need more affordable housing, well, you're fucking lying, and you're part of the problem. If you're saying it's just an affordable housing problem, that means either you are a part of the propaganda narrative and you've been told to say this, or you're in on it.
100%.
That's it.
And what
At this point, it's fucking nuts. Skid Row is 50 blocks.
It can't even be called Skid Row anymore. It's called Los Angeles. Every community. Before my house burned down in the Palisades, my wife was ready to move because every morning in front of Palisades Elementary that then burned down and across the street at my son's preschool at Methodist, there was a lady cleaning her private parts in front of kids at 7:45 in the morning. You call LAPD, they pull up and they go, you don't know more, because they can't enforce the law. She'd go around the corner and she'd go number 2 in front of Joe's barbershop. I would know because I had to step over the number 2 because I'd always park right near Joe's barbershop. So it's not Skid Row. It's everywhere.
So the police are told not to do anything about it? Is that what it is?
If you don't enforce the law, what are they going to do?
Right. So this comes down from the mayor.
Of course. And so then the mayor and the city attorney, if the mayor is not telling the city attorney to prosecute all these misdemeanors, put these people in mandatory hold. If you're cleaning your private parts in front of kids and you're a normal citizen, you are going to jail. You're going to be on the Citizens app as a sex offender. Right. But the consequences for zombie people, they don't have them.
That's crazy.
It's not fair for all the normal tax-paying people in Los Angeles that we have to abide by laws. And then there's a whole class is like, it's like anarchy. It's like, it's psycho.
It's so weird to see, because I lived in LA for so long. And when I first moved there in the 90s, there was nothing like this. It was nice. I mean, it was a lot of traffic, but that was it. There was some crime, but it wasn't that bad. And everything just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And it didn't seem really bad until, Skid Row was always bad. And Skid Row was bad on purpose. So for people that don't know, and we looked into this because I found out about Skid Row. I knew it existed, but I found out about it when we were filming Fear Factor. So one day, because we filmed a lot in downtown LA and a lot of these abandoned warehouses and buildings, and we were in one of these warehouses, and we left the set, and I drove home, and I took a wrong turn. And I went down near the outskirts of Skid Row. And it's hard to believe that it's real if you haven't seen it. When you're talking just blocks and blocks and blocks where there's nothing but homeless people. Just people on the streets, camped out, wandering through the streets. There's no cars driving whatsoever, garbage everywhere. And the idea that that's never been cleaned up is fucking insane. So what we found out is that was an area a long time ago where they started moving people. I don't know when was this. This was the Jerome Hotel, right? That's what we talked about? That's what it was. So there was a documentary on the Jerome Hotel. And when we looked into it, it turns out that what they would do is they would find vagrants, which is what the old school term for it. And they would find them in Beverly Hills or Hollywood, and they would just move them to downtown LA to Skid Row and leave them there and keep them there. The idea was to keep them there. They had food there for them. They had kitchens. They let them camp out on the street, just stay here. And it ruined the Cecil Hotel. That's right. So this is where so Cecil Hotel was like this beautiful hotel that existed in downtown LA. And now it's just like it's in zombie land. And the whole area is filled with fucking just everything around it is homeless. Like the sheer volume of it is impossible to describe unless you go there and see it. And the fact that that's never been addressed, that no one does anything about it, and it's gotten to 50 entire blocks of nothing but homeless people. No businesses, no nothing. Nothing's functioning. It's all just taken over by zombies.
I went to USC and I lived in a loft on Skid Row at the top of the old bank district. So in 2003, that was my street that I would pull in and park. Very good deal. That's why I was like, I got an entire penthouse. Why, I didn't get, at 20 why it was so cheap. But so I've seen the progression to the point where it's insane. And again, this is fixable. There's so much money. We're already paying for it.
Right.
These people in charge don't want to fix it. It's clear.
Right.
And they'll continue doubling down. They need somebody to come and say, oh, we're done with this. And that's why I'm excited to actually be a mayor that's in these streets. And here's what they keep saying. Oh, you can't do this because the city council, they're all in on it. 90% of them, because they have 4 of these socialist DSA members on the city council that actually want to destroy our way of life in Los Angeles.
Why do you think they want to do that?
Because they're socialists. Go on the DSA, Democratic Socialists of America's website, and they're not Democrats. They hate Democrats. They use the word to hide their true agenda of socialism. So they want to keep taking as much of our tax money. And the main lady I was talking about with that $60 million, she's one of these DSA people. She's bragging about taking $16 million of our tax money to give 40 plus people or 50 people, 250,000 each to live in a tiny home. That is not a working solution. We need to have a plan to get these people back into society, not bankroll an entire existence of Los Angeles where we're like, oh, you can just be a drug addict and we're going to pay for you because...
Yeah, this is the problem with that narrative that the rich people aren't paying enough. And this is one of the things that I've seen progressive podcasters talk about, the wealth tax. And they were talking about imposing a wealth tax on billionaires. And they're like, stop being greedy, pay your fair share. Like, what is your fair share and where is it going? Like, if you could show me that an increase in taxes would fix all the problems, I said this when I lived there, I wouldn't mind paying more taxes if they fixed everything. But it doesn't seem like it fixes anything. Not one thing gets fixed. And they keep asking for more money, which is crazy. The solution is cut it all off. One of the things that Texas has, no state taxes. There's no state taxes. You don't pay state taxes in Texas. In California, you pay 14%. So they're incentivized to take that money and do with it whatever they want. And so the more they can come up with, like building tiny homes or whatever the fuck it is, it's just incentives for them to siphon money.
And again, as mayor, I want to have full accountability and transparency where that's what everybody that's paying. If there's a lot of good people that are fine with paying as much tax as they want if you're helping people get off the street, if the lights work, if the streets work.
If there's less crime, if it's safe, if it's nice, if it's clean.
So we need to track every single dollar and make sure that there's no waste and abuse. And with that type of live dashboard, not track it with these weird data. I'm talking anyone can understand this money goes here and it.
Right.
We're talking real accounting. They don't want to do this because everyone's eating, everyone's getting a cut. All these people are living off of the scams. So you need to come in and really just say no more of this.
Well, so let's talk real world practical application. So you get into office. Now you have all these council members, these Democratic Socialist people. How do you handle that? What do you do? How do you keep them from blocking all these things that you're trying to do?
So that is what excites me, because there's never been a mayor that comes in and literally goes to each of their constituents of these districts. For instance, this DSA member wants to keep giving the fentanyl needles and the pipes. Then I go to that district. I have a press conference. I bring everybody. I say, this so-and-so wants to keep these zombies going number 2 and having sex in front of your kids, and put the heat on the city council members. Right now, they care about their jobs. They get $238,000 a year salary. They get, not even including their entourage. Then they get, our grants and our tax money for all of their little scams they're running. So they actually want those jobs. If a mayor comes in and is like, oh, I'm going to put the heat on each one of you. Because right now, the mayor, Karen Bass, isn't calling out each district and their failures. The constituents, the taxpayers need somebody to come in and expose each of these districts and go into their communities, be like, this is what you're voting for. So at least at the next election, they're out. So then once they start feeling the pressure, somebody on their neck, they're going to start be like, oh, I want to keep my job. I like this power.
But there's been a concerted effort to put those people into government, right? And, you know, a lot of people point to George Soros, and he's one of them, and his Open Society Foundation is one of the people that likes to do that, particularly for very progressive prosecutors and DAs. But there's more than just him. There's a whole machine behind it. And this is what I don't understand. Because if you wanted to destroy a city, if you wanted to destroy society, you would do it exactly the way they're doing it. So, like, what is their incentive and why are they doing it this way?
Well, they want to destroy it to then rebuild it in their vision. The second my town burned down and it's all dirt, who's coming in with the ideas? Oh, we got $100 million for affordable housing. We're going to do this. They have a plan. They have a vision that's not going to work, but they have their utopia that they would love to then rebuild.
Well, how do you say it's not going to work? Like, what's going to stop them from doing that?
Because socialism has failed everywhere. I'm saying
it's certainly going to fail. But what's to stop them from ruining the Palisades?
Well, I did. I stopped them. They can say that SB 79 or whatever their housing thing was never going to apply to Palisades, but after me attacking it all day for weeks, they added like 13 notes and made the Palisades a fire hazard area where you couldn't build high density. Because what they do, there's a new state law that just got passed. And if you're, again, these aren't exact, all the yimbys are going to go nuts. I'm saying it wrong.
What's a yimby?
Something about your backyard. Now who knows? I don't, I have to block them usually on social media, but they have a vision that everything in California and Los Angeles should be high density. We need to build these 7-9-story structures to have more affordable housing. So they want to get rid of single family homes and put 7-story buildings on. So the NIMBYs, not in my backyard, they fight these people on X. So, to be honest, I'm not either of them. I'm fine with more housing, but I also want people to have single family homes. And I think the fact that we lost the idea where we can't fight for the California dream to have a front yard with grass and it's gotten so expensive and impossible, that should be the problem. Not that, we've given up, nobody should ever get that. We need to build these 7-story prison-like structures and give anyone who can't afford just a box to live in. Let's fight to get to California where people had a front yard and grass.
Well, it's also insane to try to do that with the Palisades, because the Palisades has always been a wealthy neighborhood where people with a lot of money spent a lot of money and also paid a lot of money in taxes and had these beautiful homes. And the idea that you're going to take that over with low-income housing, well, those people are going to move out of there, and there goes the tax money from those people. Not only that, those people lost their homes. Their homes were taken from them by the fire. And that's not fair. It's not fair at all that you would just do that. It doesn't make any sense.
I like to use the word stolen. The houses were stolen from all these people. A misconception, though, because I'm from the Palisades and I grew up, the Palisades just became this wealthier, famous people in the last, let's say, 10 years. But growing up...
That's it? Really?
Yeah.
10 years?
We're talking big, $40 million type big houses. Like when I grew up...
I thought it was always like that.
No,
it was always nice.
It was nice, but... lawyers and doctor, not Silicon Valley and movie stars,
right.
hardworking people pass these houses down generations. So they were nice houses, but, your great grandfather probably passed a house down and, my dad's a dentist. He came in, he was a surfing dentist and was able to get a house in the Palisades.
And it's a beautiful area.
Yeah, it's
gorgeous area, amazing weather.
So,
but people should know that an area bigger than the size of Manhattan burnt to the ground.
So let's go back. Let's do the fire, because that's a great. We haven't even, we just touched on it, but nobody's really talked about what happened, how this fire started, why we're on the fire. So people think about the Palisades fire and they go, oh, January 7th. Well, what happened? The fire for January 7th actually started on New Year's Eve. So there's a case right now. It's kind of fallen through the cracks. It may not go forward. There's an arson case. Supposedly, allegedly, this guy lit a fire at New Year's Eve with a lighter or a cigarette, and there was an 8-acre fire. Now, according to witness testimony, there's about 30 people that saw fireworks go into this site called at Lockman, Skull Rock. So at New Year's Eve, 8-acre fire starts, LAFD responds, but the issue, what people don't understand, when they respond, they can't come up there with heavy dozers. So a dozer, like a bulldozer, has a rake type thing on the front, and they clear around the fire and they make a fire break even when the fire is going. Ideally, you'd want the fire break before, which because of California state parks and plant over people policies, we don't have fire breaks. So dead fuels, dead brush has been growing around lots of communities for 50, 60 years. So right now, the Palisades burned down, but what's next is Brentwood, Hollywood Hills, Sunland, Tahunga, what else? Bel Air. All these are going, I'm sorry, people, you live here. They're all going to burn down if we don't come in here, make fire breaks up 300 feet. Because when I met with Chief Bobby Garcia and I asked him about fire breaks, the purpose of the fire break is to give firefighters a chance to dig in. And when they drop the retardant, if there's not a 300-foot break, then all the retardant just falls through the different levels of the foliage and it doesn't make a moat. So if you have a break, it creates a moat type situation, and now the firefighters have a chance to get up there and respond. So back to January 1st. They couldn't bring their dozers up. We now have text messages because, again, I'm one of the lead plaintiffs suing the city of LA, LADWP, and the state of California state parks. So I have all the text messages public now, but we have the texts from the park rangers, the LAFD, and they're joking about, of course, I'm not bringing any dozers. I know the rule, protected plants. Keep in mind, I never knew about this plant. It's called milk vetch. Nobody respectfully cares about milk vetch, but somebody in the environmental world cares more about milk vetch than 12 people burning alive, because the plant that was protected is the reason pretty much these people burned alive. So they do their best, the LAFD puts it out, but now we know that the fire was still smoldering. We have hiking footage of the next day and the day after in the state park, Topanga State Park, hikers, tourists. We have a guy who lived down the street. Of course, he had his own drone that had not only a regular drone, he had a thermal imaging drone. So the whole hillside is just smoking. And we now have a firefighter, Pike, on his subpoena video. He says that he clearly saw smoldering pockets of coal that he didn't even want to touch, and he informed his chief, hey, we can't pull the hoses. And the chief said, pull the hoses. Not just Pike, multiple firefighters have now said that it was all smoking. But
why would they pull the hoses?
After meeting with so many firefighters since, I've realized the fire department is so understaffed, so underfunded. They're operating a fire department from the 1960s with 50% more calls now. 80% of them are for zombies to overdoses. 30% of the fires are zombie encampment fires. So to me now, I'm trying to get in that chief. I spoke with that chief on the phone, and in my mind, it's a budget thing. Everything's just like, oh, we don't have, clocks ticking. We don't have the money to stay up here with the hoses, because 3 years earlier, the same area in the Highlands, I think they left the hoses up in the Palisades for 18 months. You leave the hoses up because it stays hot, and they have them up. They pulled them the next day. So I think it's a funding thing. I mean, the Chief Crowley, who Mayor Bass fired in retaliation for telling the truth, 7 weeks before the Palisades fire, she wrote a memo to Karen Bass and said, I am dangerously underfunded. I cannot keep Angelenos safe. What does Mayor Bass do? Cuts another $17 million from the fire department. So in my mind, the chief's like, I don't have the money to leave guys up here. We got to go.
So has anyone asked her, what was her justification for the cuts?
Well, the city's broke. The city has no money.
But how do they have so much money to buy homes and homeless shelters and spend all that money?
Here's the best part. I've now found out since then, there was $400 million just in an account that they hadn't even touched for homeless. Literally, at the time she cut the 17 million, there's 400 million that right now is still there that they haven't used, allocated 400 million. So they got it for the zombies, not for the tax-paying citizens' public safety. Not to mention, back to the taxpayers, the Palisades probably is largely at the time of the fire was probably the most money in taxes was going to the city from the Palisades.
Right.
So you don't. Back to Lockman. So they leave because if you listen to their testimony, the state park rangers say, "Oh, we got this. We'll keep an eye on this." Da 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 da. In the subpoenaed depositions, they asked one of the state park rangers, "Well, did you see the smoldering hill?" They say, "Yeah. What'd you do?" "Oh, I took a photo." "What'd you do with the photo?" "Nothing." "What do you mean?" "Well, I'm not a firefighter." So the state park's own manual says they're supposed to close this park to make sure it's not a dangerous condition, obviously, and to monitor it. Did they close the state park? No, worse. Guess what the state park rangers asked the firefighters to do? And there's photos. It's mind-boggling. They asked the firefighters to take dead brush and fuel, and they carry it and they put it over the fire break from a day earlier around where they made the fire break around that January 1st. They take the dead bushes and they cover up the fire break. There's photos of it. It's the craziest thing you ever see.
What?
Because they didn't want people to go on the wrong trails because they look like hiking trails now.
God.
So
if you wanted to be cynical, do you think that having this $400 million and keeping it in there and funneling money into homelessness and not into the fire department is simply because the fire department is not profitable? You can't siphon money off of the fire department. The fire department basically just goes to fight fires. It goes to equipment, people's salaries, maintaining the fire departments. You can't steal that money.
You want to know how sick it is right now? The fire department, LAFD, their union, all the members, get like choked up. I feel so, because I met with these, I keep meeting with these guys and you hear from their heart, you're like, this is so heavy. They had to take their own money to get on a ballot measure, $1 million. They all pooled it together to get a ballot measure this coming election to get a half cent on sales tax in LA so that they can have money to fund actual things they need to keep a half a cent on all the. But the point is, they need to go out of their own pocket to get a ballot measure because they know they will never get funded by the city to keep Angelino safe, that they got to go out of it and make.
But there's only one way to look at it. You would look at it like, well, what would be the logical reason why they would allocate so much money towards homelessness and so little towards the fire department? When the fire department is, I've said this before, but if you want to talk about like socialism that works, the fire department is socialism that works. If you really care about socialism, and that's the thing that you really believe in, there's certain aspects of socialism that are applicable in a healthy community. One of them was the fire department, that your money should go, we should pool some of our taxes to go to make sure that we're all protected. And the fire department doesn't just protect the rich people, protects all people. Fires break out, the fire department comes in, regardless whether you have any money or not. We all pool our money together for the fire department. It makes sense. But if it's that, you can't steal that money, right? So there's no way you can figure. The homelessness it's vague. It's weird. You could hide it. It's like you're counting bodies on the street. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Let's write 5,000. Like, you don't have like real accounting these people because it's so chaotic. But fire department, you know the employees. You know the fire department. You know where the trucks are. You know where everything is. You can't steal that money. But that homeless budget, boy, there's a lot of wiggle room in that homeless budget. And if you wanted to be cynical, you would say that's why they fund the fire department so little and they fund the homeless so much.
Well, also, these DSA socialists, they don't want to fund the fire department. They don't want to fund the police department. They want these type of entities to be defunded. They don't even want them to exist. So
what do they expect when fires happen?
Right now, they want things just to burn. If you look around the city.
How the fuck do these people get in office? Like, who's voting for them?
They're tricky. They have these ground teams, and they go around. They got a real ground game, and they go knock on old people's doors, and they say, "Oh, we're Democrats. We help They have nice words, and they got a strong, like in LA, I think there's 5,000 at least members that can hit the street, whereas a normal for instance, Spencer Pratt running for mayor. I don't have 5,000 people on deck to go knock on doors. And not to mention, they're funded. They have 100,000 plus members across the U.S. They have outside entities that give them money. And again, they're sneaky. If you go watch on YouTube videos, they talk so much SHIT about Democrats, Republicans. They hate all these people. So they don't want either party. They want them. Here's the craziest part. This should be illegal. Like right now, the one who's running against me, they're Democrat, socialist, champagne queen. When you sign up with the DSA, you sign a contract to co-govern with the DSA. How is it legal when you are...
What?
Yes.
Wait a minute. Explain that.
So when you're a DSA member. So right now she's a city council member. And when the DSA gives you an endorsement, you sign a contract with them to co-govern. So right now, she's not representing her district as an American citizen, a Los Angeles.
She's representing the Democrat Socialists of America.
Yes.
Wow.
And that should be
co-govern.
That should be illegal. Illegal.
And so they can just go full ham with all these radical ideas.
Yeah, and their idea is to just come in, take all of our tax money, and keep trying to invent this. For instance, that lady has had 6 years in charge of her city council. Thousands of her constituents message me photos. It looks like, again, Mad Max in her area. So we're going to put her in charge. The only thing worse, actually, than the Cuban communist Karen Bass is actually a socialist DSA. So I'm running against worse and worse. It's truly...
Is Karen Bass running for re-election?
Yeah, that's why I stepped in. When I saw her announce, I was like, oh no, you don't get to burn my house down.
Do people, what is the general population? I think most people have jobs and families and they're busy. They're very busy. So it's very difficult to be completely informed about all this. What is the general perception of Karen Bass? What is her approval rating in Los Angeles?
So she has the record lowest approval rating in the history right now. So UCLA just did a poll about a week ago. I'm number 2 to Karen Bass. She has approximately 20-something%. I think I have 13%, with 40% undecided. Those 40%, I keep saying, those are my voters. Those are people that are fed up. They know they're not voting for Karen Bass. They just don't know. There's a guy named Spencer Pratt that's saying, we need common sense. We need to clean these streets. No more fentanyl at the park. Parents need to feel comfortable taking their kids to school without seeing meth zombies having sex on the side of the street. We're talking common sense. This is not political, what I'm running on. Not to mention, the mayor is a nonpartisan race. There's no letters on it for a reason. The mayor is supposed to represent all of Los Angeles. Period. It's not you'll never get me ever doing these performative politics, talking about national issues, doing the bait and switch stuff where, talking about over here, why I destroy your actual local government. That's the problem. Everyone gets caught up in the media and they follow what's going on in different states and different politics and the federal government, when the people that really affect your life, who are destroying your way of life, are your local government, your mayor, your city council, your fire commission, your police commission. When I'm mayor, I'm wiping out this fire commission. We're putting actual experts that know what they're talking about, not these rando political pointy lunatics. Same with the police commission. You need to have people that pride themselves in law enforcement and want accountability and want the best from the police department. The police department is the lowest it's been in 30 years in Los Angeles. And here's my favorite thing.
In terms of staff?
In terms of police officers.
30 years.
30 years. Here's the best part. They'll tell you, the mayor said, crime is down. I have truly, because I spend all day long just reading DMs.
It's down in terms of its reporting.
Thank you. Every message I get, they say, call 911. You'll be on hold for God knows how long. If they ever pick up, if it's literally not like somebody's getting shot at that moment, if you're trying to report crime or this, they're not coming. Nobody's filing it. They don't have the staff to be doing that. So the real crime numbers are so insane. Not to mention, Karen Bass will brag about homicides are down. First off, that's a national trend. She's taking credit for the whole United States down, but I even have another angle on that. I'd have to go probably to some emergency hospitals, but I think Los Angeles has such good trauma nurses and trauma doctors. The amount of stabbings and shootings, they probably keep people alive. That's the real number. Maybe 30 years ago, before we were so good with Quick Clot and God knows we have so much stuff now
Right.
that keeps people alive. Just on the metro alone, the stabbings everything is double last year. So these people are living, but everyone's getting stabbed everywhere. I keep joking that everyone loved that guy in New York, Mondami or whatever his name is, because he said everything's going to be free. Well, as mayor on the metros in Los Angeles, Mayor Pratt will make sure you're going to be free from stabbings. So there you go. You're welcome.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like just because the actual murders are down, it doesn't mean that the actual violence is down. New analysis by LA City Controller says that at least $513 million meant to help homeless went unspent.
This was just 2024. That's about 400 plus in 2025 also.
Good Lord.
Yeah, the 400s for sure. And
then where's that money go?
Just last week, the federal government paused a $400 million payment that was coming because they said all these federal audits you're not showing the books. So just the money is just coming. And we're just talking LA, which is the epicenter of the whole state of California. All this fraud that you keep hearing about, everything, it all comes from LA and then goes out to California. It's like LA is the Death Star, and that's why I'm coming in. Luke Skywalker. I'm like,
well, Nick Shirley started doing investigations into all sorts of other fraud that's all around Los Angeles with hospices and all these different things. And they're finding hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of fraud.
But not for much longer because he could be facing a $10,000 fine.
Isn't that crazy?
According to the new California bill yesterday.
So this is a new bill. Instead of saying, wow, thank you for uncovering this fraud, they passed a bill that if you film things and you go to a place and identify that place and then somehow or another those people, get harassed or something because of it, you could get fined.
Yeah. So I was already saying on my own podcast, my plan as mayor, because everyone kept being like, oh, you need Nick Shirley. No, what I need is all of Los Angeles to be a Nick Shirley. I, as mayor, am going to offer cash bounties. If you film any fraud, city workers doing something suspicious, any type of scams, and you bring it to the mayor's office and we check it out, I'm going to pay you. So now I got to deal with the state, if that passes. But I was already going to just make the city become these Nick Shirley. Everybody has an iPhone.
What an insane response. What an insane response.
It's a cartel.
Instead of thanking someone for uncovering criminal fraud, you make a new law where you turn them into criminals.
These people are laundering more money than El Chapo.
Yeah.
That's what I keep trying to say.
It's billions. Billions and billions of dollars.
Real criminals. Like the Gotti, all these people we used to think were mobsters at the Italian shops back in the day, they couldn't even comprehend what's going on right now. And then even on the city level, like when I went and met in a fire station, they were telling me about how if a refrigerator, this is mafia stuff, if a refrigerator breaks, and, firefighters, they know how to take the refrigerator and they put it out. The city person comes in, they go, oh no, put that back in. You can't have that taken in. So they make them put the broken thing back in before the next person comes. And then it costs like $50,000 and only this one city contract can fix it. It's not for, up for bid. And that is where all this extra money that isn't going to actually getting these firefighters with any. The fire station I was at, they had a fire truck that should have been retired to Mexico 10 years ago. And instead they pay to put a new back bumper on it. And these guys have to pay out of their own pocket for the blinds, the paint, and they do it because they live here. It's so sad where LAFD used to be the symbol of great, the GOAT firefighters that everyone looked to, how we've just let it fall apart. Same with LAPD. We have just no pride. And what's happening is the Olympics are coming. And what I keep telling everybody is we're gonna have a terrorist attack. It's because we're not even safe for our streets right now. They're not even protected. If we do fires alone, all a terrorist cell needs to do is get 5 of those black e-bikes, and they need to go on a windy day leading up to the Olympics, go around with road flares, tossing them out on all the 50 years of dead brush. The entire city will look like a nuclear bomb went off. Look at the Palisades.
Yeah.
One area. 5 bad guys, bad actors go around and do that. It's It's done.
And by the way, there's a lot of evidence that a lot of the fire in the Palisades, not just the initial fire, but subsequent fires were caused by arson. In fact, my friend Andrew filmed some guys doing it. He filmed guys lighting things on fire. He filmed it in his car. He was watching these vagrants, filming them lighting things on fire.
2 days ago, there's photos of a vagrant, homeless zombie in the Palisades trying to light a fire right now. Thankfully, the area hasn't grown back yet, but they're 2 days ago. These zombies, people don't like the word zombie, but they are zombies. Yes, there's different boxes of homelessness. There's people that need help and
down on their luck. Yep.
They're lost their job, quick, boom. That is one box. It's a very small box, but I am aware of those. Then there is a 95% box that are people that are just
fentanyl zombies,
meth, just want to live on the streets and be a drug addict right now. Maybe some of those people get help, they get sober, get proper treatment, now they get a new chance of life. Then there's another box that are just people that want to do drugs and be a bad person. We have to acknowledge there's actually just bad people that are in a different box. So
there's also people that want everything else to fall apart because their life is in the shit. They live in shit. Their life is hell, and they don't want to see you drive by in a Lexus. They don't want to see you go to your nice house. They don't want to see any of that. They want to light things on fire.
Well, that's how also these DSA people get support, because they've destroyed the city so much. You look around and you think, oh, the American dream is broken. Capitalism is broken, but they're the ones that broke it. So if you're just like a young 20-year-old looking around, you're like, oh my God, there's zombies everywhere, rent's so much, all the restaurants are closing. This system doesn't work. But what they're not looking at is who's breaking the system that did work. The one that I grew up in that was so beautiful. Over 100 restaurants in LA have closed this year. Over 100. And these aren't chains. These are people that put their, life into this. These are chefs. And they can't make it in a place that was a go-to food spot.
Well, where I used to do comedy in Los Angeles on Sunset at the Comedy Store, if you drive down Sunset now, everything is for lease. It's fucking nuts. It used to be very difficult to get a property on Sunset because it was so valuable. In the 90s and the early 2000s, like everybody wanted to have a restaurant on Sunset. Everybody wanted to have a bar on Sunset because that's where everybody went. There was always cars and it was nice and you could walk on the street. We would walk down to get food. We would go to the stand after we would, the Standard rather, after we would go to the, I would fucking never walk down that street now. It was normal.
And that's you trained up, ready to go with the sidekick. Imagine a lovely lady that just wants to walk her little dog. The amount of people that just are just dog walkers. They're like, I am scared to walk my dog. I won't say which newscaster, but I had a newscaster off camera recently and said, everything you're saying is true. She goes, every morning I have to get up at 5 a.m. because it's the safest time for me to do my morning run. Every day, naked zombie. She said, I'm running by a naked zombie trying to... Can you imagine not, you and I don't want to go walk on the street, but just like a woman with their little dog or moms with strollers. And it's across the entire city. I watched news in Spanish where these underpasses in South Central or East LA, these families have been coming to the news and they're like, please, because they're having to take their kids under these underpasses with encampments to get to the schools. It's not just like a Hollywood thing or a Valley thing. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
And
I don't think people understand it. Can we show some videos? Let's show some videos of some of the real chaotic homelessness in Los Angeles so people can get a look at it. Because, I've had some friends send me videos, like my friend Whitney Cummings. She went through Los Angeles a couple of months ago, and she sent me a video. And I was like, this is fucking nuts. Because I haven't been. I don't go there anymore, man. I fucking avoid that place like the plague. I used to love it. I never even thought until the pandemic hit. I was like, I'll probably be here forever. And now it's just nuts.
It's the Street People of Los Angeles Instagram account. They show this stuff all the time.
Street People of Los Angeles Instagram account.
And this is a dad and a son walking by.
Yeah. Well, this is a small.
That's in the
Well, I mean, I
Valley.
can
No,
show
but
it. Yeah.
the point is, I posted this also in the sense that
Woodland Hills.
look at these little kids. They got to go by. This is some
We
of
used
this.
to have our studio in Woodland Hills, and we used to have guys that were camping out right in front. Look at that. Even Perez Hilton is on your side. Pratt is the path. What Los Angeles needs. You see that,
Yeah,
bro?
Perez. God bless Perez.
You might be the only person saying that.
No, he had near death experience and came to Jesus, and he's
good
all
for him.
he's locked
I
in
hope
on
it
the.
sticks.
Oh.
Was that somebody dying?
No, he died twice, pretty much. So
From what? What happened?
He took antibiotics without food which I didn't know was a thing. That's why they say to take food, and then again, I'm going to say this wrong, but whatever that creates, some situation, boom, now he has sepsis and he's
Jesus.
next to death for 30 days, and then we just got out of the hospital. Then he has a blood clot. No, so he's like Bible all day. He talked to God when he was like dead. So I think he's for real.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that would be nice.
Yeah. Oh, he's
We use another nice person in the world.
And he's a powerful prayer warrior now. So
Show me some Skid Row. Some Skid Row footage is the nuttiest. Okay. Skid Row footage is the real. That's the real red pill. Where you're like, how? It's just. There's no better way to describe it than how you described it earlier. It's literally like a criminal cartel. It's a criminal cartel that's siphoning money off of people. Look at that guy. Just needs a job. These people just need a home. Come on, man. This is not that bad. This is
nice.
This is very minor. Like there's certain areas of Skid Row. I like how they have tents, which is so crazy.
Well, you paid for that. You didn't. I did.
Oh, look at this. This guy's protecting against vampires. Yeah.
Well, these are nice clips.
That guy just needs a job, dude. Relax. Poor dog.
Oh.
I know. I see dogs with homeless people. I just want to. I'm such a dog lover. I can't go to the dog pound. If I went to the dog pound, I'd have 100 dogs, and my wife would never let that happen. But that drives me
So that
nuts.
guy right there and the fentanyl, these fentanyl hangs, they don't need beds.
Right.
That's not a bed issue.
No.
It's not a housing.
They need to get cleaned up. And for people that don't know, this was not like this. This was not like this a decade ago. This is a rapid decline in what this city looks like.
Oh, there's some nice people. Oh.
It's just crazy. This is not as radical as it could be. Skid Row is really, if you could find some.
There's innumerable videos. I can't click on check them all fast enough. But
All right, try this one. Skid Row, right
got
there.
600 views. I was going to try to find one.
Oh,
Also,
what's
the
below
reality
that?
is
Right
it's-
there, that one. I spent a day on Skid Row.
AI
There was a comic in the early 2000s that went undercover and lived on Skid Row for a couple of days to film things. And it was pretty astonishing even back then. But again, this is a created environment that they created because they didn't want to deal with the homeless people. And they're like, you know what we should do? We should just take these people and put them in one spot and don't let them leave. And that's how they created Skid Row. And, decades later, you have 50 blocks of nothing but this kind of shit where it's just fucking chaos. It's just homeless people everywhere. And it's so sad. All lost lives. As a father, you're a father. This is someone's children. This was someone had a baby, and that baby they loved more than anything. Like, oh my God, they're so precious. That precious person is now in the middle of an intersection, hunched over on fentanyl.
Well, the amount of
shitting in
people
the
that
streets.
message me and say, thank you, my so-and-so brother, daughter, son died of fentanyl overdose. These people need mandatory treatment. They don't need just, if you want, we have these needles for you. We have street med teams where we can come and, it's crazy. And it's back to being a dad. I'm only running for mayor to do one last Hail Mary to try to save the city I love and grew up. So
And if it
God
doesn't
willing,
work, you're out.
Well, they already burned down my house. That's what the LA Times was. That's the funniest. Did you see this? So
No.
they tried to do a hit piece, to LA Times, and say that I wasn't eligible to run for mayor because my house burned down. This was last week. No, I'm not kidding. This is for real. So, and they were like, "Oh, he's living in Santa Barbara right now."
I thought the LA Times had become more reasonable when that guy owned it.
That was completely not true. And the
Really?
funniest part is the LA Times is in El Segundo. for the last 8 years. So they're the ones that should be worried about. So what happens is they say, oh, it's up in the air because he's in San Francisco. So I call the city clerk and I say, hey, the LA Times is reporting that I'm not, I know I'm eligible. Everybody knows. It's like saying that 7,000 people whose houses burned down now can't vote.
Right.
They can't vote.
Because you don't have a house
Because
there.
Karen Bass, who you're not supposed to vote for because she burned your house down, you can't vote for her. So he's like, of course you can run. I said, anybody can call and ask this? He's like, yes, it's on our website. So it was just a
why
full
would the
hit
LA
piece.
Times, who is the person who wrote that story?
This guy, Noah Goldberg. And why is because he's pushing the Nithya Raman. There's a video of him at the bar with her like, yay, they won.
And she's the Democrat socialist?
Yes, and LA Times wants their own clickbaity Mandami. They try to make their... Mandami is a custom-built Manchurian candidate, 20 years in the making. He's a star. That's why he's got the smile. You can't take this bootleg wannabe and try to cook her into it. So they drop this fake hit piece on me the day the UCLA poll comes out that has me in the lead and not the one that they had just run some fake DSA BS poll that nobody believed. It was movie scene.
How is this person doing in the polls, this person that you're running against?
They're at 9%, I think. But again, the polls, I'm in number one. Anybody, they know this. She's in charge on the city council. She's the chairperson of the homeless, of the homeless plan. Okay? She wants to, what's she going to change? She's had 6 years. So we're going to put, and then she's tweeting or Xing or whatever we call it, like, my new plan, homeless is not working. Oh, so you just announced you're running for mayor. The best part is, she's had 6 years to not say any of these problems until she's running for mayor. These politicians are just, it's the problem.
They're
back
demons.
to people. The problem is people have jobs. People aren't paying attention like me.
Yeah.
They just hear the little fake, I care, this isn't working. I'm blah. Oh, she's a city council member. Oh, she's a Democrat. No, she's not. She's not a Democrat. I'm the one who's been fighting for Democrats for the last year and a half to expose all of this fraud, our literal city letting our town burn to the ground. So that's when I really stepped up. So I watched this movie Hot Shot, a documentary on, fires. And I see in this documentary 100 mile per hour, I think it was the Oak fire. I don't know, in the film. And you see 100 mile per hour wind and the firefighters are just standing there with like garden hoses. And you're seeing that 100 mile per hour wind does not mean everything burns down because this community have fire breaks. So then I see who this guy who lived with these hotshots for 6 years. So I find him on X and he's live streaming talking about how the Palisades fire before anybody was not started on January 7th, but a rekindle from that first fire when the LAFD, this is where it gets so conspiracy Chinatown movie type shit. They hired a crisis PR firm, the lead company. Here's the best part. Guess where they got the money? The mayor's office, where they got the money to hire the crisis from the LAFD Foundation. They used charity money to hire a crisis team to alter the after action report that says all these things that went wrong to make the mayor, Karen Bass, look good.
Oh my God.
I find this out because I start, posting about what this director, Gabriel Mann, is saying about, the Palisades fires. I'm posting now. I got info. So now firefighters start coming in my DMs as whistleblowers. So I go, hey, just so you know, the after action report that went out, that was the 9th version. And the battalion chief that wrote it wouldn't put his name on it because they changed it so much. So I do a post about that. 3 weeks later, the LA Times, everything I post, 3 weeks later, they would steal my thing and be like, Pulitzer Prize guy. It's like, I posted that 3 weeks ago because the firefighters were coming to me and telling me what was going on behind the scenes. So also, as mayor, I'm going to make sure that the fire department, the fire chief, has civil protections again. So right now, the fire chief is like a puppet. They have to do whatever the mayor says, cover up for the mayor. They're just another politician. They need to be responsible for the Angelinos, the public, and they don't have that protection. The mayor can just get rid of them. So you got to give them these civil protections back like they have. The mayor can't just get rid of the police chief, for instance. But that's when I was like, oh, these people are...
It's organized crime.
Thank you. And
it sounds like the mob.
Here's where the best part. You know when the mayor was in Ghana as everything was burning down? Do you know who she left in charge? Her deputy mayor? Do you know where the deputy mayor was? The deputy mayor, Mayor Karen Bass's deputy mayor, was on house arrest because he was arrested for calling in a bomb threat to City Hall. This is real life. This is the person that's supposed to take the call because she's in Africa.
Why did he call in a bomb threat to City Hall?
Great question. So that's who the type of people we're dealing with. So when they're like, "Oh, Spencer, you don't have the experience to be mayor," well, I promise my deputy mayors that I have on deck, they aren't calling in any bomb threats to City Hall. So we're already starting ahead of the curve. Also, I'm not going in to steal taxpayer money. I'm going in to stop all this. So again, I really believe there's enough common sense people that see that I'm not doing politics. I don't want to do any of this. Politics it's a job. These people are career politicians. I never wanted to be a career politician. Before my house burned down, I was selling my healing crystals. Just to be clear, they have no magical powers. They all burned in my house. So anybody, you're buying them, they, I thought that had protection energy. They don't. So, and feeding hummingbirds and taking my kids to school. That was my dream life. And they burned it down. And now they have their worst nightmare coming to just undo the whole thing.
Former Los Angeles Deputy Mayor of Public Safety agrees to plead guilty to threatening to bomb L.A. City Hall last year. Now, what was the reason? Brian K. Williams, 61 of Pasadena, is charged in a single count information with threats regarding fire and explosives.
It doesn't have a reason, but it says what he did.
I don't think there's ever a good reason.
Yeah. Well, I would like to hear his reason. Bomb threat. I received a call on my city cell phone at 10:48 this morning. The mail caller stated that he was tired of the city's support of Israel, and he's decided to place a bomb in City Hall. So that's it. It might be in the rotunda. I immediately contacted this. So it was about Israel. Wow.
I think he made it up. Up here it says that he used his Google Voice application on his personal cell phone to place a call to a city-issued cell phone.
Wow.
He then left the meeting and called the chief of staff. Doesn't say why.
What a fucking idiot.
I will say Mayor Bass.
Is that guy still employed? Find out if that guy's still employed.
I would think not. I would imagine he's
Oh,
going to.
no.
I mean,
He's facing 10 years.
I think he's going to federal prison.
Oh, he's facing 10 years?
Yeah, I think so.
I wonder if he has paid leave.
Probably.
He's
He's probably got
federal prison.
Oh, God.
But notice he at least, Mayor Bass, with her cell phone, the whole week of the Palisades fire, she deleted all her text messages. Where,
I wonder why.
Oh, they're like a terrorist cell. Breaking burner phones.
How the fuck are you even allowed to do that? Former L.A. deputy mayor sentenced to probation and $5,000 fine. That's it. Just probation.
Well, in his defense, his mayor was spending, I think she went to Cuba 30 times to learn how to build bombs and bomb America when she was part of the Vanessa Ramos brigade. So Karen Bass.
How old was she when that was
1920. And she never, ever said she had any problem with being like a Cuban communist terrorist until Biden was going to pick her as VP. And then they made her say, I denounce that I was trying to blow up the Capitol with my terrorist cell when I was younger. But for all those years, she never said anything. When Fidel Castro died, she said something like, rest in peace, El Comandante. Like, what? Yes.
No way.
Yes, you can
For
find
real?
it. And then it gets even better. So,
hey guys, relax. Williams was just suffering from stress and anxiety when he called in a threat.
poor
No
guy.
big deal.
Poor guy. Overworked.
Stress and anxiety, and somehow or another, it was about Israel.
Not to mention, these people would just get away with all of this. They keep getting away with
Yeah.
it. That's the problem with the media. What I've learned from being part of the television world. You notice, why do they let the mayor and the city councils get away with all of, talking about this? At the end of the day, that's their talent. It's like a soap opera. They got to keep filming with the mayor and the city council. If they just air them out, they're not picking up the call. It's like a production.
Exactly.
So-
Then they don't have content anymore.
Exactly. So the local news needs to keep it.
Right. They don't have access anymore.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, why? Because I talk to these people off camera and they're all
like an organized crime
they're
organization.
They're like, please, I'm like, why aren't you,
Yeah.
But
It's organized crime.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like they pay people off. They've got little deals. You wash my back, I wash yours. Come on.
yeah. And so thankfully, because people are like, aren't you scared of these people? I'm like, what are they going to burn my house down again? Are they going to burn my mom's house down again? So it gives you like a confidence. What are they going to do? I mean,
The crime in Los Angeles, when you talk to average people, like the people that I know that live there, they're fucking terrified. They say break-ins are just commonplace now, where they used to be very rare. You get home invasions constantly. I mean, Ted Sarandos, his mother-in-law was killed in a home invasion. And they're happening all the time. It's because there's no police response, and they know there's not going to be a police response. So more people are hiring private security. It's very difficult to get a gun, or at least a concealed carry permit. It's very difficult.
in defense of LA County Sheriff and LAPD, they have gotten better
Yes.
at CCWs now because of this, the
But
law.
because of the
law.
crime. I mean, it's not the sheriff's fault. The sheriff wants it.
Yeah, and they don't have the staff even
Exactly.
to process it. So it just takes up to a year. But I know they all, that's the thing. I talk to so many sheriffs, so many LAPD, so many firefighters. Everybody is just broken. Their spirits are broken. Why are we doing this? Why don't we just go to Newport Beach
Right,
or Huntington?
right. Or Florida.
Or any, just,
Yeah. Just leave the state.
What am I doing? They keep saying. And
Well, this is the thing that Newsom always chimes in about how much money California brings in, how much many venture capitalists are in California, how much money in tech is in California. Right. But it has nothing to do with your government. It has in spite of your government, they're doing that.
and they're leaving.
Yeah.
Hollywood was the greatest thing. The amount of money Hollywood made for Los Angeles, from the grips to the camera operators to the glam people to
Yeah.
the costume.
Sure.
People don't understand. Like, you know, people hate like, oh, like Hollywood, you know, stupid movie stars are so rich. They forget about the ecosystem that connects to that, say
Yes.
Tom Cruise, that makes
Yes.
the amount of money is gone. And for instance, just last week, they finally got Baywatch to come back to LA. Baywatch starts shooting for like 2 days and then they kick him off the beach. There's all these permit problems. So I write a Substack calling this out, calling out the mayor. Next thing you know, they come back and the mayor makes a deal. What's funniest thing right now is whatever I post and do, the mayor is now doing. Like I said the other day, I'm getting rid of the whole fire commission. This fire commission has been there for like 10 years, I think. After I do this post or whatever, boom, 4 out of 5 of the fire commission resign. So they're trying to just get ahead of all the
course.
things of what I'm saying, which is fun because I'm like the mayor. So I'm like, this is great.
Well, it's also they can't possibly do enough without completely undermining their entire organization. They're always going to have so much fraud and waste that your case will always be solid. There's no way. They would have to literally like tank everything they're doing that got them into position.
And if they talk about how much of a failure, then they're definitely not keeping their job.
Right.
Which is, that's
Right.
the problem with they're all in ready for this? The lady, Janice Quinones, that was in charge of the LADWP that drained. So in the Pacific Palisades, there was the San Ynez Reservoir. It had 117 million gallons of water. When it was created, the engineer, he's on the cover of LA Times back in the day, and he's talking about he built this for wildfire protection. Now, in their defense, the city and LADWP says that was drinking water. No one was drinking this water, I promise you. So there was a tear on this drinking water, the firefighting water. So they drain the entire reservoir because of a little tear that would have cost $120,000 to repair for over a year. This woman was making $750,000 a year as the head of LADWP, twice her predecessor that Mayor Bass brought in. Keep in mind, if you make that much money, do you know what the people below her are making? 500, 400, 600. These people get so much money and they spend over a year to fix a tear. And it's back to the mafia thing. Oh, I'm sure it's like, oh, we got to use this contractor because we don't have an open bid. Oh, that's too cheap. Who knows the conspiracy to why they didn't tear it? So while that's drained next door to my house, that I watched weekly, the local LAFD would do training, they'd hook up to it. I had a 5 million gallon reservoir for firefighting. So while they're doing that one, they're like, oh, we should fix this one too. They drain that one. And they're like, oh, we drained it. When we refill it, there's some issues. We can't refill it. They leave 2 reservoirs empty. Rewind what I told you. In a season that's the driest ever, that they've actually had a fire, I think in 2019, where there wasn't water in the reservoir, and thankfully there was no wind, and they had to drive 10 water tenders up onto the hillside for the helicopters to dip, because that's the key. What people don't understand is like, oh, nothing could have stopped this fire. You know, people that defend these people. If the reservoir had the water in it, the helicopters, these $17 million helicopters that Newsom loves to do the photo shoots in front of, how fast they are, would have had to fly less than 30 seconds from the origin of the fire, again, when the winds were fine, for 6 hours in the initial thing. But instead, those helicopters had to fly all the way to Malibu, to Pepperdine College, and all the way to Encino to get the water for the helicopters to fly all the way back to where the fire was next door to where the empty reservoir is. So they spent 66% of their time not fighting the fire, going to get the water. So it's back to, like why I say it's Chinatown. Like with Jack Nicholson. We have this LADWP that these people get all this money. They increase everyone's rates. This year, everyone's rates went up 11%. They're going to go up 7% annually for no reason. You're not getting alkaline water out of it. I'm convinced, we used to joke like, oh, there's fluoride in the water. How much fentanyl is in our damn water right now? Right. I mean, we're not getting better water for that 7% increase. They're doubling everyone's trash, even though the entire city has more trash. I talked to this guy, Juan, from Clean LA. He goes around, he's from Ecuador. He does these mingas where he moved here from Ecuador, and he said it's the dirtiest thing he's ever seen his whole life. So he just started cleaning up trash and posting it, and now people will give him GoFundMe money, and he cleans more of the city than the city. And I had him on my podcast. I said, what's the problem here, Juan? And he said, people don't care, Spencer. And I said, so when I'm mayor, I hire you. Are we going to get the city clean? He's like, Spencer, they want $1 billion next year for the trash. He's like, I can do this for easy $500 million. I said, okay, you're hired, Juan. I said, what are we going to do with them? He's like, we got to fire all these people, Spencer. They don't care. He said it's dirtier than any third world country he's ever been. So they're doubling our trash rates. They're doubling our sewage. So more money, more money. It's back to taxes. Oh, the rich need to give more. If the quality of life just keeps getting worse and worse, why would anybody with money stay in California or Los Angeles when they know the fraud, the waste, the corruption? People that are rich, billionaires, whoever they are, if the city lights all work, right now, the 2 mayors I'm running for, you know about the copper theft? There's no working lights in the city of LA because they got rid of the copper task force because they obviously can't fund the LAPD. So they let everyone steal all the copper. So everything's dark in the whole city. So Mayor Bass goes last week and makes a press conference. I solved it. I'm going to spend $200 million and we're going to do solar power lights. You think these thieves aren't going to then pivot to stealing solar batteries and slanging those? No, we got to stop the criminals. The best video right now, I think, there's a couple of good ones. This Nithya Raman, the Democratic Socialist who's running for mayor, she is asked about all the Cadillac converters that are being stolen. She said, well, Toyota is making these too easy to steal. It's like leaving your MacBook on the front seat. This is real talk. I'm not kidding. This Toyota's fault.
Toyota's fault that people are stealing catalytic converters.
Yes.
That's hilarious. Every fucking car has a catalytic converter that just sits underneath. You can just saw off the exhaust and take it out. If you know anything about cars, it's not fucking Toyota. It's every car.
Oh, here's another great one of her lines. She's at our city council meeting. She's the city council member. All these moms and parents are saying, we don't want these encampments where there's 2 known gangs selling fentanyl through holes in the tents. The zombies are everywhere. These parents are saying, we don't want these encampments, which are illegal. They're asking the city council member to enforce the law, and she argues with the parents and says there's no difference if the encampment's 1 foot or 500 feet from the school. All the parents boo her, and she goes, whatever, and rolls her eyes. These are the people that are going to show up and vote for me. These moms and these dads that are done.
There's a giant amount of people in California that have been red-pilled. That just realize, like, whatever you thought your government was, when you thought you were voting for a progressive, kind, compassionate government, that is a sheep outfit over a wolf. It's not what you have. It's not what you're getting. What you're getting is organized crime. What you're getting is organized crime that is using this filter of compassionate, caring, inclusive government. And it's not real. It's not real. What you're getting is more homeless, more crime, more murder, more chaos, more, maybe not more murder, maybe it's more
almost
shootings.
Murder, almost
yeah,
murder.
maybe more shootings and stabbings, but better medical care is keeping them alive. But the idea that crime is down, it's like anecdotally, you ask anybody in LA, they would not agree to that. Most people think crime is up. Home invasions are fucking ubiquitous. It's everywhere.
So I spoke with these SWAT guys the other day, and I said, are you guys having a lot of gang standout? He said, actually, no, the gangs is business as usual. They know when we show up, the hands up, they're going to get out in a week. They're professional. They're just for the money. He says our biggest call outs now are mental health, episodes that the person doesn't know where they are or whatever. And I said, but what about all these like home invasion crews and that are coming in, robbing everyone's house? He goes, there's nothing we could do. He says, these people all know they're getting out in 2 weeks. I said, what do you mean? Isn't that a felony? They're coming in with guns? He said, nope. You can go break into a house with a gun while people are there, families, rob them, tie them up, and get out.
Not only that, if you shoot those people while they're in your house, you'll be prosecuted.
Yeah, you got to prove you are fearing for your life.
You're supposed to leave your house rather than defend your house against people with weapons that enter your house.
I personally would advise to lock yourself in a closet and have your firearm and have a strong point.
Yeah, but even that, like, you're going to just let someone break into your house and steal your childhood's, whatever they're stealing, steal your fucking jewelry and
you have to
heirlooms and whatever you've worked your whole life to earn.
Yeah.
That's fucking insane. It's insane. And the fact that you have this no cash bail situation and just letting these people out on the street that are violent criminals, repeat offenders. It's like if you wanted to destroy LA, that's how you would do it.
They're doing it. And that's why I get my hardest thing every day now is just staying not too pumped up. Because now that I'm in this fight and I have all the messages all day long, everywhere I go on the street, people, old ladies hugging me, crying like, please, I'm scared. The pressure I feel to get in here and just undo this, unplug this. And I met with a lot of business owners and they said the mayor, the city council, they all know what needs to be done, but they don't want to push the buttons. Somebody needs to just come in and push. If there's one thing I know, I will push these buttons and we're going to get the city under control because it just starts with enforcing the law. So I have a deputy mayor that I can't say who he is because of fear of retaliation at this point, because of issues with the city right now who's in power. But this deputy mayor who will help me enforce the law made it very clear. Once you start enforcing the law, criminals leave. They know, the gig's up. They will go somewhere else. Once you start making arrests, people will leave. This idea, there's no room in the jails. Where are you going to put all these people? Once you start enforcing law, they will leave. And it's as simple as that. He was suggesting for 2 weeks, you go around the city, you put up signs, no more fentanyl at the park, no more open drug use, no more encampments. You have 2 week countdown. You give them a warning. So if you want to leave in advance, most of these people, which is what I hear the most from law enforcement, are not from Los Angeles. They have been flown in, bussed in, back to the business. There's a body business where they bring homeless people to the city to make the money off them. They're from all over the country. They're brought here because this is the epicenter where they're making all the money. So you don't think these NGOs, when they hear Spencer Pratt's the new mayor, he's got the IRS criminal investigation team, they're going to take this scam, to other states and cities. The show's going to go on the road and they're going to open up shop where there's a mayor that lets this go down and it will stop in LA. And this trickle down effect, when restaurants don't have zombies in front of them, you can go back to having outdoor seating because it doesn't smell like human poop. The whole city smells like human poop and pee. It's crazy. So when you get rid of that, not to mention, you remember my best plan?
Yeah.
I'm bringing in the CDC Los Angeles love the white suits, and during COVID, they love CDC. I'm bringing in the CDC because do you know how much typhoid and medieval diseases are in these encampments that nobody's swabbing? Mayor Pratt is bringing the CDC in. We're going to swab all of them. And once we get those test results back, I promise you, the federal government will be shutting down streets with white tents and hosing things down with chlorine, God knows what, because people are living in the sewers. I don't know if you saw last week, that lady pops out of the sewer. That Juan from Clean LA did a video. It went viral. She was living in the sewer.
Yeah.
A whole full thing. What's with poop and pee? You know what type of diseases are going on in there? CDC will clean these streets. Again, people are like, oh, Spencer's not going to have the resources. With the Olympics coming, we have Homeland Security. We got DEA. Another thing, we're just I talked to the dog rescue people. They say you stand on Skid Row or any street in LA, you can watch the drug dealers just pulling up in Escalades, Teslas, all the nicest cars, just slanging, no problem. Mayor Pratt, DEA's coming in. ATF, we have so much funding when you bring the feds in to enforce the law to get the streets ready for the Olympics. The current administration, they want to play pretend, get that money to launder. Oh, we need that $1 billion. We'll clean the streets. No. You come do it. Help me out. So it's not like I won't be able to do this. And people, when they hear me say, they're like, it's our guy.
So let's.
We haven't even talked jujitsu, too. Are we going to put on gis or what?
Let's talk about day one. So day one, realistically, what can you do and how do you implement all these ideas that you have?
So right now, what I've learned is all the smartest, brightest people would never want to come work in LA because they know any of their ideas are not going to be used. The system is in play. The amount of private industry, like for instance, a CEO's house burned down who sold his company to Warren Buffett. We're talking big, legit CEO. He said, I'll come in, I'll work for $1 a year. You know, there's people like this that want to get LA back,
right,
that I'm going to surround myself. People like Rick Caruso. He wants to get building. You lean on these people that they talk about it. They just don't want to go into this toxic environment that you can't, it's a cartel. They know there's only so much they can do unless there's a mayor like me that's going to let them do it. I just got a phone with Steve Moscow. He was the president of multiple studios, Sony. I'm going to bring him in within an Avengers team for Hollywood, how we clean up all these permit issues and get Hollywood back and make the incentives, make it. My idea is literally not charge. You want to shoot in LA? We're going to charge you? No, we need work. And then we can, in 6 years, we can come back and worry about that, but bring the business back. So meeting with the Ted Sarandos, putting these actual commissions, not to mention, I already met with there's the community budget advocates. They're like LA budget experts. They presented 7 budget initiatives to Mayor Bass. She didn't do one. I'm going to do all 7. These type of budget things where you don't just increase all these payments to city unions or whatever if the budget doesn't have the money. There's going to be a commission that looks everything publicly for 30 days. Right now, it's just her CAO. It's like having your accountant and check your taxes like from the IRS. It's all, we need to have outside independent people checking all this stuff. So it's more of, again, I'm talking with Chief Garcia, who's retiring, who's the GOAT firefighter, to be one of my deputy mayors of fire and public safety, not a deputy mayor that calls bomb threats into the city. So just using experienced people that want to get LA and surrounding myself. One thing I know I have is common sense. Now all the things that I need, the professionals, you bring them in and they'll want to work with me because they know, they hear my message. Oh, he's going to undo all this. You're telling me for $750,000, I couldn't find a better LADWP CEO to make sure there's waters in the reservoir, figure out how to get rates down. We have plenty of money. We're paying these jobs. We're clearly not getting the proper talent. Obviously, look at the city. So
you're getting talent that's ideologically aligned.
Exactly.
And it's a part of this whole cartel.
Exactly. So,
and they know what they're doing. They know the game. They play the game. They listen to whatever the top dogs say. And they follow business as usual, and the money keeps getting moved around.
To the point where I can poach talent from other major cities that are successful at these jobs I can pay them more clearly than other. But you'd be like, wow, you did this here. Come out to LA. Don't worry, the zombies will be gone by the time you get here. But there are these people. There's tons of cities around America that don't look like LA. This is not some rocket science I have to figure out.
You're in one of them right now.
There we go.
Yeah, drive around Austin. There's a homeless problem, but it's minor. It's very small in comparison to Los Angeles.
Again, there will be homeless problems always.
Everywhere, always.
But the drug addiction, crime, where they run the streets, that's a problem that can be
And
fixed.
encampments can be fixed.
Well,
Yeah. Look at what they did in San Francisco when Xi Jinping was visiting San Francisco. And Gavin Newsom literally said, when someone comes to your house to visit, you clean up your house. How about just keep your fucking house clean? Like, what are you saying? If you have the resources to clean it up when a foreign dignitary comes into town, why don't you just keep your town clean?
And we're the ones that own the house, the taxpayers.
Yeah.
We already pay to keep the house clean.
Yeah.
No, back to Newsom and fires. One of the things we need to touch upon, back to climate change and him going to Munich. And he talks about the fires, it's 365 days a year, it's climate. That's interesting for somebody whose fire service, the Cal Fire, he only pays them seasonal. When the Palisades fire hit, most of Cal Fire was down for the season. If it's a 364th, and that's why the only reason Brentwood exists and didn't burn all the way, just like the Palisades, is that Chief Garcia, he was ready with the U.S. Forest Service because he fought the feds to make sure he has a real fire service that's 365 because he understands it could pop off whenever. So he had all his tankers and helicopters. They came to Palisades and saved the day. So this idea, they just talk. Oh, I spend all this money on all these things, but then you don't. And then he cut their salaries. I mean, we could do a whole episode on Newsom. I got to stay focused. And it's back to.
It's amazing that guy thinks he could be president.
Not when I'm mayor of LA, because I'm going to cook him.
I just don't understand how anybody could think that he would do a good job. He ruined San Francisco, then he ruined California, and now he wants to ruin the country. Like, what how the fuck do they think? Because he talks well, and he doesn't even talk well. He just talks well for people that are in that position. There's just a lot of people that talk way better than him that aren't interested in the job.
Well, that's what we need to get past. And the audience, the taxpayers, audience, whatever you want to call them, we need to stop falling for performative politics.
Yes.
The mayor of LA, she's so good at it. She gets everyone riled up like she's Che Guevara fighting for freedom, but she can do nothing. She literally, as mayor, cannot stop anything with the federal government. It's all just an act. And same with Newsom. They're like social media influencers.
Yeah.
Do your job. We're paying our tax money for you to make sure our houses don't burn down. Zombies aren't attacking our families on the way to school. Everything that's the basic quality of life you're failing at, but what you're good at is just yelling on social media. And that was back to why I ran, because I didn't want to be one of these they're just yappers. It is yap. You don't do anything.
Yeah, well, it's refreshing. It's refreshing seeing something, but I think this is how it has to be done. I think it has to be someone from the outside. That all these people that have a career in politics, they know what feathers they can't ruffle. They know that if you want to make it, you have to be aligned with whatever the party's doing. And if you go against them, you get in trouble. And everyone knows this. So they all just sort of stay the course and hope that their time comes. Hope that they'll look the right way and say the right things, and somehow or another it'll allow them to elevate their career and become a mayor somewhere or become a governor somewhere.
Well, if you look, smart people will come up to me and they'll be like, you're doing what the founders of America wanted. Real people, part of the communities, getting into politics. Not this job where I'm going to do this for 30. It was supposed to be your neighbor. Somebody who understood what everyone was going through.
Exactly.
And I feel that. And again, I'm going in there to stop these people. Not. I don't have a new utopia of what LA should be. I want LA back. I want the LA I grew up in.
Right.
I want my two sons to be able to, once we win all our lawsuits against Gavin Newsom in his state park, to rebuild in the Palisades and grow up in the city of LA that I grew up in, that you could dream.
Have you thought about a timeline of how all these ideas that you have, like how long it'll take to actually implement them?
Once you start enforcing the law, things are going to move quick. it's as simple as, okay, I'm mayor of LA. I got my new deputy mayors. We have my new police commissions. We're going around and we're just arresting people, and the people that aren't getting arrested, we're getting to mandatory medical treatment, and we're just going to start clearing the streets, clearing the encampments. And then from that, everything's going to come to, first off, imagine the communities, like how pumped people are going to be in these neighborhoods when I come in and I'm like, this is done.
What is this other person, this Democratic Socialist lady, what is her solution to all these problems, crime, homelessness, all these things? What is she saying? Is she admitting that there are issues, and does she have a solution that she's proposing?
She just posted it yesterday. I didn't read it. Somebody just tagged it. It was so funny. One of the quotes was, we're going to have a street medical team. A street medical team. We already have that. It's called the LAFD, and they're spending 80% of their calls responding to these overdoses, and we're also paying for that. No. They because they're so deep in it, they can't say mandatory treatment because these people have rights to die on the sidewalk. They have rights to attack. So we need more housing. These beds aren't working. We need to get more beds. So yes, she needs more affordable beds. It's not working as she's running it.
As she's running it.
Yeah.
So she just wants to keep business as usual, just with more funds.
No, she wasn't even running until 3 hours before the last where you have to fill it out. But when everyone saw I was going to win and be the mayor, so the real conspiracy is my conspiracy. I don't know if it's real, that Karen Bass and Nithya are working together just to block me to make sure, because it's a jungle runoff. So June 2nd, the top two numbers go to November. I was 1 billion% going to November until 1 hour before she just pops up after she'd already endorsed Mayor Bass. They were doing photo ops together a week before. They're close. Mayor Bass endorsed this Nithya lady. They're like a team. So 2 hours before that last minute where you have to sign where they announce the final candidates, she's had a year to run for mayor, or plus you could have announced. It's just to block me from going to November. But what they don't understand is people that will vote for me would never vote for her or Karen Bass. They're actually picking off their own stats. If anything, what they're doing is making me the mayor on June 2nd, because if you have 51% of the vote, I just become the mayor on June 2nd. And I think they're in for a big surprise, and they're underestimating how angry everybody is in the city of LA. And I think I become mayor June 2nd, and it won't even go to November.
I think they really are underestimating how angry everybody is, because there's people that I talk to that used to be just hardcore Democrats, hardcore leftist progressives that are really saying, like, in hushed tones, we really need a Republican. We really need like some no-nonsense Rudy Giuliani person. I hate to say that. I hate to say it, but that's what we need. We need someone who's going to be really tough on crime and clean everything up and stop all these people from having tents on the street. There's so many people like that are just quiet about it. They don't want to talk about it openly and publicly because they're afraid of being shamed.
I grew up in Palisades. I went to Crossroads High School. I don't think I've ever met a Republican. No, I mean, for real, like right. All the people I know, all my family and friends, everybody I know is a Democrat. And all the people that are supporting me, all the people I talk to, they're Democrats. This is not the Democrat Party that's running LA. The other day I posted the commandment list of, I think it was 1996, Bill Clinton's Democratic Party. It looks like what I would say right now.
Yeah.
That's the Democrat. No, this is socialism. This is communist. This is cartel. This is mafia. Yeah. This is not. Democrats love me. They want all the same things. They want to feel safe.
It's really amazing how they can hide it by just pretending to be compassionate. They can hide all this money that they're just siphoning off, because it really is just organized crime.
Well, they say to people, there's nothing we can do. That's why people will be in my comments section be like, there's nothing you can do. It's like they are so good at just keeping these people have rights. First off, it is illegal. This is blow people's mind. It's illegal to live on the sidewalk.
Right.
That's a Democrat law. All the laws I want to enforce are Democrat laws. I am the Democrat law enforcer mayor. I should be every day. I'm actually excited because I finally feel like there's like hope, because when your house burns down and your mom's crying because her house burned down every single day. Everyone you know's house burned down. You go through a dark, just all my tax money. Like, I should be a millionaire, because I got some big checks. People always say, oh, he burned all of his money. They don't understand living in LA in the entertainment business with a manager, an agent, a business manager, your taxes in LA, your state taxes. It's very hard to keep all that money. So they're like, oh, he burned regardless, the amount of money I put in to the city of LA and the state, my house should still be here. So it's very sad moment. And then you start uncovering, oh no, this is almost strategic. A lot of people reached out after with the Lahaina and they're like, oh, they Lahaina'd you. This is a land grab. And I was like, no. And then you start going down, you're like, I'm not even arguing with these people anymore because of how the writing was so on the wall. It's so on the wall, the entire insurance industry dropped everyone in the Palisades leading up to the fire. It was that flagrant. There were 70-year-old people, 70-year-old plus. I talked to 80-year-olds that got dropped by their insurance January 1st, been paying 40 plus years, didn't even get to re-up, lost everything, no insurance. If all the insurance companies are dropping an area, it's very clear that they know what's about to happen. So your city leaders, your mayor, everybody, your state, they should be getting ready or saying, oh, wow, everyone's dropping this.
Right.
What can we do? Oh, we need to clear the dead brush. We need to make the water in the reservoirs there. Just obvious things. So I don't even argue with the land grab things because here's a crazy thing that I never did the math for. This hurts. So your house burns down. You lost everything. Now you got to buy stuff over again. Now you're paying the city sales tax. So the people who just let your house burn down, now you're giving them tax to rebuy underwear, rebuy shoes, So they're making money now off of your house burning down. Not to mention, you got to start buying things to actually, maybe if you're lucky, not only 14 people in 15 months have built a house. So
it's only 14 people have built a new house.
Let's max out at 16 just to be like, oh no, it's 16. He's a misinformation. Like it's
less than 20.
Yeah, less than 20 and 15
which is crazy.
Plus. And
how many houses burnt down?
7,000. Wow. So now you got the sales tax.
God, that's so crazy. That's such a crazy number. 7,000 houses is so crazy.
What's even crazier is most of these houses burned down on January 8th. When now there's no wind and they just didn't figure out, let's drive water in from again, when you're on Lahaina, you're on an island. I'll start arguing, oh, it's hard to get resources. When everything's burning down on January 7th and you already realize you effed up and now you're hearing the fire department saying, all the fire hydrants are empty, there's no water. It's red alert. Get enough water tankers from the whole state, every city, drive in water. I have videos from January 8th of moms walking in front of my son's elementary school. It's totally there. My son's preschool, 12 o'clock, totally there. By the afternoon, all this is gone. Because they didn't bring water in.
It's crazy.
So back to the land grab thing. So for instance, all these properties that burn down, like I said, it's years of passed down family property. So when you pass that, you pay that old tax rate. Now these 7,000 dirt lots in the next couple years, guess what the new tax rate is? They're going to have, when somebody buys that, they're now paying 2027, 2028 Pacific Palisades tax rates, not 1970, your grandfather's tax rate because, you still lived in the house. So there's like 100+ billion they're going to make just in taxes. So the idea that, oh, why would they ever let that happen? You start thinking, oh, well, they don't care because not only do they make a lot of money, they can rebuild it. They can try to put, affordable housing and do these complex. It just gets fishy.
It does get weird. You don't want to accuse people of land grabs, but at the very least, they're capitalizing on a tragedy.
Well, the number one buyer right now of Palisades dirt lots, China.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, they do it through New Zealand, or it's a New Zealand business owned by the Chinese. It's all movie stuff. I keep saying to people,
watch the movie Chinatown.
I watch it once a week just to stay locked in, but it's exciting because I feel this window of change where the stars are aligning, where an outsider comes in and just blows up their whole spot. Not the way the deputy mayor calls in bomb threats, but energetically. And so it gives me hope. And then again, if it's not God's plan, my wife is very on the, prayer warrior, Bible, Jesus. So, I check in with her. I'm like, oh, what's Jesus saying, honey? And, I talk, but I think she has a better path. And her thing is, if it's God's will, it's going to go down. And if not, then I'll probably end up with some of my former Palisadians that moved to Bentonville, Arkansas. And it is what it is. But I will.
Well, there could be no doubt that Los Angeles needs a radical shift. They need a radical change. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're proposing.
Big time.
Yeah.
And it's exciting, because most people are scared. They have fear of this system. They have fear of being attacked. I get why a normal person that's just has a good heart, that's smart, doesn't want to go into politics. You'll have the LA Times writing hit pieces. They got machines to keep the system. You got the comment sections. You got people making videos. They're trying to expose bots. You feel that, but thankfully, I have experience from being hated in television for many years that, now the flip is I have so much love energy. I was able to maintain with negativity for so many years and just stay in the game because it was business as usual. And I knew they wanted a villain on all these shows. I will, shout out David Foster, who put me on this path many years ago. He said, you got to be like Simon Cowell. And I leaned into that and it worked for many years. But the point is, being hated for so many years, now having so much love, obviously I'd much rather be loved. Let's be clear. Anybody that wants to, being loved is a lot more fun.
For sure. Well, listen, man, I'm voting for you. I can't vote for you, but I'm rooting for you. I mean, if I lived in Los Angeles, no question whatsoever, I would vote for you.
You have time to get one of these affordable beds. I can probably connect you with one of these beds. I
don't think that's legal. I'm a Texas resident.
Okay. No,
yeah, I'm a Texas resident.
Take that back.
I think I can only vote.
Well, did you see what they're doing right now with the cigarettes and the ballots in LA? Have you seen this?
What?
They caught all these people signing ballots, trading the zombies for cigarettes.
Oh, I did see that.
I need the DOJ, if you're watching, the feds. We need come to LA for my election. We need to make sure we get a real election. I can't even believe we didn't do an hour on jiu-jitsu, though.
That really is gross, what they're doing with giving people cigarettes to sign up for things.
Do you know how many people are like in the jiu-jitsu game, if you don't shout me out, like I need to just like end with like a list of people. No, I'm just kidding. But guys, we didn't talk jiu-jitsu. So
yeah. Well, I talk jiu-jitsu so much.
I know, but I just have
here's
to.
Another thing, like flavored nicotine is illegal in Los Angeles. Just think about how many people are camped out on the streets, how many people are intense, open fentanyl use. You can't buy flavored Zins.
Well, even the cleanest ones that like my health biohacker friends allegedly may or may not access it.
You
but
can't have those.
Like fitness people can't even.
Like athletic
peptides
nicotine.
are technically,
Yeah. Well, they're working on that nationwide, and hopefully that'll get passed soon. But there's so many regulations in California that make fucking no sense. Like no sense, particularly in Los Angeles. They make no sense. And it's just, they just want to keep you like a child, and they are the people that are supposed to be the overseers of everybody, and they're looking out for you. And it's gross. And it's just business as usual. They want to keep moving in a direction of more regulation, more rules, less rights, more restrictions.
One last thing that's speaking is, this is so crazy. Do you know right now in LA, if you're just a mom and pop landlord, they always like to say landlords are like Cruella de Vil level, like, he's bad.
Right.
Just like a mom and pop, maybe you own one apartment building with units. If you have like a drug addict, crazy person living in there, most of them now also with their Section 8 scammer and Range Rovers, have 2 cars. If you want to get them out, they can go a whole year with not paying these landlords, and then they have to pay $100,000 in legal fees to try to get them out. So then they settle with this criminal that's just abusing this loophole in this system. They'll give them 50, 40K to just leave. That person's not put on any list, and then they go do it to another apartment building. So a lot of these apartment buildings, they don't even want to rent out to people because they can't afford to then have one of these people. So again, with this housing, and then ready for this, the city council, if it was not $170 million, it's 200 million, just gave 170 million to the lawyers that sue the tenants for these people. But there's no fund for the tenants to then defend themselves.
Jesus Christ.
It's so crazy. So again, it's about these people coming around me that are living this nightmare and be like, how do I help you stop these things? And putting these people that know the game because they're living it.
Yeah.
And undo it. We got to stop this.
Well, I'm glad we could help you get your message out, and I really, really hope it helps, and I really, really hope you win. It would be fun. It'd be fun to watch you shake it up. And boy, if you could really change Los Angeles and turn it around, I mean, that would be absolutely fantastic. It would be a great story. It would be really amazing. And it would give hope to a lot of other cities that are experiencing similar situations where I think a lot of other people would follow your path.
I'm doing it. All
right.
Just give me in the game. Vote for Mayor Pratt.com.
Vote for Mayor Pratt.